My mom was a very religious person and expected us to not only go to meetings, but to be involved with theocratic education and programs. One of the programs that I was involved in was a class called the Theocratic Ministries School. Now, this class taught us how to be public speakers and be on stage, prepare talks, albeit from the Bible. But I found that I loved being on stage. I loved performing, and I loved the spoken word. After being involved with community theater and some low or even no-budget independent films, I realized that I probably wasn't going to be going to Hollywood or New York. Sometime in the late 90s, I had this white light aha moment about voice acting. So I went out to Barnes & Noble and bought as many books as I could find on voiceover. Books by Susan Blue, Cicely Berry, Elaine Clark, and James Alberger. Now, reading about voiceover and actually doing it are two completely different things. But I learned a lot from reading them. Now, James Alberger, who wrote The Art of Voice Acting, his book is now in its 4th edition, and it's one of the best out there. He also owns the Voice Acting Academy in San Diego with his partner Penny Abshire, which I attended an intensive class, and it was fantastic. I learned more at that class than reading all the books put together. It's all about the characters. You ask yourself, when you're researching these characters, who, what, where, when, why, how. So when you're playing these characters, you're being true to them. Those accents or dialects are part of that character. So it makes it a lot easier to do a different dialect. Each character has his or her own story. For example, E.R. and Crick. They're both hillbillies, are from the same place, and are cousins. E.R., though, is wiry, smart, quick-witted. He speaks more clipped. Crick, on the other hand, weighs 400 pounds, is slow and speaks more through his jowls, and at a slower pace. For example, E.R. talks like this, whereas Crick talks like this. Now, Milo, when I was developing his character, what I thought of most of the time wasn't a regional accent, but I kept thinking of Al Capone. Now, Milo was a street thug from Chicago, but I kept thinking, and in my mind, he was Al Capone, and that's where that accent came from. Now, the women's voices, I just softened them up a little bit and put a little lilt to them. Now, E.R.'s wife is a little heavier, and she might be a little huskier in her talk. Now, the Tanner girl is younger, very seductive, provocative. So she may talk a little bit like this, even though she's still a little bit of a redneck woman. The most important thing about having clean recordings is your recording environment. You could have a $3,000 Neumann mic, a very expensive mic pre, and the best recording software, but if you are in a bad recording environment, your tracks are going to sound like shit. I built my sound booth from an unused closet. All the walls have different angles, so there's no reflective surfaces. They're all lined with acoustical tile, so the acoustics are dead. And the room tone in the booth is about minus 70 dB. And along with that, after I record a track, I do a lot of cleanup and post, like tummy rumbles, or the furnace may have gone on, or for example, I may have taken a sucking breath that I have to edit out. But still, the most important thing is your recording environment. When I was a child, I thoroughly enjoyed being read to. One of my favorite times of the day in school was after lunch when our teacher would read a story to us, usually about a half an hour long, and it was a time when you could escape into a different world, explore different characters, and I learned about Little House on the Prairie and many other titles and different characters from those titles from being read to. So audiobooks and the spoken word is a passion for me.